Hi guys, and welcome to today's episode of Design Your Life with Katya Avdeev. If you've been watching my show, you pretty much know a little bit about me, and one of the things everybody notices that I like DIY stuff. I like things that are unique, different. I like unique jewelry, clothes, stuff around the house, and something you can make at home, and you might be surprised with the supplies we're going to be using today. When we come back, I'm going to show you what I mean. So what we need paper clips. Any kind. Those I got from Costco, and they're the pretty big ones just because I like big pieces of jewelry, but you can get whichever one you like. And big ones are also going to be easier to do just because they're easier to work with. Then we need leather, any kind of leather. Mine was, I had two old leather skirts from, I don't know, forever long ago. And so I've used one, and this is the other one. And the good thing about leather is you can really use and reuse it a lot. It doesn't have a grain like fabric would, so we can cut as many pieces, even little scraps like this would be useful for this project. And the basic pliers, scissors, and glue. That's all you need. So let me show you the technique first. Okay, so the first project we're gonna do is very simple, just to get you to see what how the whole pieces are made, and then once you master the simple technique, we can easily create something more complex like that. So the first is gonna be an earring, and this one is one. I'm gonna make the matching one right now. So we need leather, any color, any kind, and you can actually use the other side if you like the suede better, but I like the leather better. And you measure your clip, the paper clip, and I know mine, and it needs to be, so if this is the paper clip, right, we need that leather thing to be about, so you have little hoops to attach findings to, so it goes from something like this to this, so you just measure it, and mine is 1 1/4 inch. And so we'll do, and the good thing with leather is that because it doesn't have a grain, like I said, you can really maximize the way you use it. So we'll do 1 1/4, and we're just gonna cut the squares. So after I finish cutting, it's gonna look something like this. And so this is 1 1/4, and this side, it needs to wrap your paper clip 1 1/2 way, so something like this. This way you would have the cleanest edge you can, like you see in this one. Because if you do it in the center, there is a high chance that it will open because it is in the center. And if you do it too close to the edge, you can easily see it from this side. So having it like just a teeny tiny bit of the edge that's what I've learned is the best way, the most pretty looking way to do it. So so it goes almost the full one, and then like this, and that's how we're gonna glue it. And you can use any fabric or leather glue. I like this too, the Quick Grip and the Fabric Tack, because they dries clear, They have no order, so that works best for me, but use whichever one you like. Okay, if only I can get it to work. There we go. And you don't need a lot, just enough to nicely hold it. Hold it for a few seconds, let it dry. Depending on your glue, you would need somewhere from an hour to 6 hours to let it dry. This one is pretty fast, so within half an hour, it's gonna be good to go. And then you keep making it until you have however many you need, depending on the project. Something small, like this one only needs 6, which is 1 earring, so 4 for 1 earring and 8 for 2 earrings. Something more complex, like a top I have here, they were around 50-ish, but you know, you can always make more. So once you have all of those little pieces made, I'm doubling just because you can do 1 layer, but I figured the 2 layers look cooler and better. It looks more like a square, something like that. So we take 2, we take this 2. The seam that we did with the glue, both of them go in the middle. It looks neater this way. And then you take your basic pliers and jump rings, like I have here, and no particular size, whichever one works. That's the great thing about all my DIY projects. There are no rules, you can do whichever one you like. So, and I am, for all my connectors here, I'm using at least 2 jump rings. Well, in this case, it's 3. And that is because they are open jump rings, meaning after a few days of wear, you don't want to lose it halfway through. So securing it with 2 or 3 is always better. And plus it looks cooler too. So that's what we're aiming at. And I just did 1. Then you take another one. And it's very easy, even if you've never worked with pliers and jump rings. You just keep attaching through both holes and close. I have 2 pliers for both hands, but I like to use my nails instead of one of them. 1, 2, 3, and that's what I just did here. See, 1, 2, 3. Now we're gonna connect these 2 to this 2, like so. And they also connected with 3 big black jump rings. They are about, I think it's about 10 millimeter. And if you've bought jump rings, you know they are measured in millimeters. This one is about 10. But like I said, you can use any. That would add more personality to your particular earring or necklace, which we'll be doing next. So 1, and see, it's pretty fast. So you can have a jewelry set within an hour. And of course you can be any color, but I like black. I think black goes with anything. So I'm using black leather and black jump rings, but they come in any colors and sizes, even like bright neon colors if you like that. Okay, so almost finished. And the bottom of the earring, I'm gonna use the double layer of jump rings. So here's 1, 2, and 3. And once you make a lot of those paperclip leather pieces, you can experiment, and I'm sure when you do, you're going to come up with a lot more ways to connect them, to have different shapes, different sizes. I think it's fun. And when you go to an event, you can be sure that no one else will have that exact earring. Here's 1, 2, and 1 more. Third, the last one. Here we go. Okay. See, now they're ready. Now we just need to connect the earring finding, that little hoop. And you can get them at any craft store. They're very inexpensive. I think that whole box was something like 99 cents. And then from one box, you can obviously make a lot of those. Oh. So we use a jump ring again, connect the earring finding, close, and voila. We have a nice earring. Let me try it on. There we go. Okay. Ta-da! So it's gonna look something like that. You can make a matching bracelet, and it's easy, you just extend. So we'll just keep connecting that for the bracelet. But I have a cooler idea, which is the necklace made in the same technique. And it's also asymmetric, just like everything I like. I like asymmetry. And I'm gonna show you how to make it when we come back. So now we're going to learn how to expand the previous earring idea into something more complex. So we already know how to make those leather pieces, well, those, and we've already learned how to connect them. Now I'm going to show you that you can connect it so many different ways and can create a simple neck. Well, it's not that simple. People, trust me, people would notice. So let me show you how it's done. Well, I'm sure at this point you can probably figure it out, that those are just these pieces that I'm connecting the same way that the earring was connected, but I'm using one layer of leather stuff. And for this particular one, I was just connecting them randomly. There is no pattern. So there was one lane, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that went this way. Then I added another one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So from here to here. And then I added one more that made a loop. So basically you can experiment whichever way you like. There is no rule. And at the end, what we do, we just take one of the jump rings, attach a clasp to it. And this is very inexpensive. You can also get it in any craft store. I like those. So it's the same idea as the earring, and you can make a bracelet actually the exact same way. Just experiment and keep connecting them together. You can make it smaller, just eliminate like part of it, right? Or you can double it and make it twice bigger if you like stuff that's more substantial. So after I close it, it's gonna look something like this. Okay, so we made earrings, we've made a necklace. The next step is to make a pet, something like the one I'm wearing. And for this one, it's kind of the same technique, but a little different. We would need to add yarn and crochet hook. And even if you've never done crochet, it's super, super, super simple. And again, this is something that's I think it's very unique. Wherever you go, people would notice, people will be asking, oh, where did you get it from? That's what happened to me. So the way to do it, if you've done crochet, you know what a basic loop is. If you haven't, let me show you. It's very simple, trust me. Take 2 fingers, you twist it like that, right? And that's how you make the first loop. You go under one of them, over the other one, and to make a loop and a knot. So that's your first knot, right? And then the rest, what we're gonna do is you're gonna take that, loop it through like once, twice, like so. Then we're gonna take one of those pieces and do the exact same thing, just looping through, going inside that leather paperclip thing. Like so. So now it's connected, right? Then we'll do 2 simple ones like this, which is that space in between them. Then you take the second one. The important part is that they are distanced from each other the same way. So if you only have one loop in between, keep one throughout the whole belt. If you want to do two, if you want them to be further from each other, it's fine. Just make sure you remember that. And everywhere there is a loop, you would use two instead of one. Okay, so you just keep going, and I'm gonna show you on a little piece what do you do when you reach the end. Right, so let's pretend we've done the whole belt like this one. Mine is 3 pieces long, but let's pretend it's this one. We would need to make loops all the way around, like so, to go all the way around this one. And this is the loop that would be connected to the two. Let me show you what I mean. So this is the loop that we're gonna create right now. And then when you put the belt on, you're gonna loop one of them inside and then tie a knot like this. And as I think I mentioned earlier today, I like asymmetry. I like stuff that's unique. There is no pattern. It's just, you just go with the flow. Create cool, unique things that nobody else has. So going back to the belt, to create that loop, you just make 1, 2, well, you see however many. Mine is going to be roughly about 10-ish. Going the same way we just did, you just make 10 to make this one wider. So something like that. And you end up on the other side of our leather pieces, and you do the same way. You loop through, then you do 2 simple ones, and go here again. And when you do this, make sure that all your pieces, all the seams, the leather seam that we glued, are facing the same way, so that it looks neater on the outside. So it should look something like that. Just yours will be obviously wider, like the belt I have. And then you do the exact same thing with the loop that I just showed you, and you just go on top of the leather ones, like so. There is no pattern. I started on this side, and I started right here, and then I went here, connected it on the top, then there were like 10 or 11 on this side connected, and I just kept going until the whole belt was made. And it stretches, as you can see, because it's needed, crochet, and something like this. If you make it shorter, it can become a choker. If you make it even more shorter, you can have a bracelet. Okay? And when we come back, I'm gonna show you how to make a clutch for your next going out party. Okay, moving on, we're gonna make something a little bit more complex with a more complex pattern, but still kind of done the same way. And this is a clutch. It's almost finished, but let me show you how this is done. The inside, let me start with the inside part. The inside part, you can use the simple clutch you already have in your closet, or this is just I just did 2 seams and they're gonna be a zipper on top. Nothing too fancy, but it needs some sort of a lining. And I would suggest a contrasting color, because then the leather would really stand out. And trust me, nobody had seen that clutch before, so people will be asking, oh, where did you get it from? This is so awesome. And then you can tell them you made them yourself, and you made them from paper clips. Okay, so the way it's done, those things are, for the clutch, they're connected a little differently. And also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but for my craft projects, I really like using plastic cups and plastic paper. I think they're perfect. You use them for a project, then you just throw them away. So, in case you're wondering why I have them in the cup. So, the way it is connected is, we start with this star first. So, then it's 6 pieces. And for this clutch, I think roughly I used 120 or so. But it also will depend on the size of your clutch, because if you sew the clutch first, you would need to measure how wide and how long you need it to be. So like 6, like so, and make sure all the seams are facing the opposite way, just so it looks neat. And then this one has 2 big jump rings in the middle, 2 black ones, like so. This clutch will take a little bit more time than the previous project, but I think it looks beautiful and unique, so it'll get there. Okay. And to connect them, I'm using the smaller jump rings. They are about 6 millimeters, and they are the wire. If you, I'm gonna put them next to each other so you can see the difference. So this wire is a lot thinner and smaller than this one, which is what you need for them to be connected and look nicely like so. Okay, so we take a little one, open it up, and connect one of them to 2 closed black jump rings. And then you just keep doing it and doing it. And I actually tried to do this project with my son, because he wanted to help. He always, every time I do something new and interesting to him, he wants to help. And the way I engaged him was he was counting all the jump rings and all the leather pieces that I need. And so you can engage your kids too. Okay, I'm gonna open it up. I hope you guys can see. I know they're small, so it's hard to show. And for little jump rings, you would need 2 sets of pliers. One is too difficult to do. So you connect, the first connection would look something like this. And like I said before, it's a good idea to always double the jump rings, just because you don't want one of them to open and then be ruined in the middle of the event. So having 2 is a good idea. Okay, there we go. Now we just keep going, and those same big jump rings will be connected here. I promise you it's all easy. When you see, if you see this pattern, and you will see this big picture on my website and also in the video, if you just look at it, I'm sure you can figure out what goes where and the way they are connected. But you start with those 6 stars and then connect them, and then the 2 parallel rows at the end. It's just easier this way to not be confused. Okay, so we just, okay, that's gonna take me forever. So let me just show you what it would look like at the end. It should look something like this. And then when you reach the length that you need, you connect the front to the back, and you should have something like this. Wait, let me show you the close-up. Like this. And you see how all the seams are facing the other way, that all these glued seams are here. Okay, and we need this side. Okay, have some patience. This project might test your patience, but I think it looks awesome, so it's all worth it. Then you take the clutch that we made. Make sure the size fits. If not, either adjust your chain one or adjust the clutch. And the next thing we would do, we would need to sew it to the top. And for that part, I'm gonna need thread and needle. And I use clear thread. You can use whichever one matches your fabric, but I think clear works great with everything, and it's also strong. Double knot, and just a few stitches in each of the jump rings on top. Like each of those jump rings on top will be sewed to the top of the purse. And I'm gonna start on one end and here. Okay, that looks symmetrical. I'm gonna start here. Just a few little stitches of each of those jump rings. Okay. See how fast it is? The first one is done. Moving on to the next one. And you can also use the black fabric for the underneath, because it would still stand out, leather against a fabric background, but I like the green one, so I like the green and black color combo. It's up to you. You can make something to match your outfit too. And I'm doing it fast. In real life, you would do a lot more neatly, a lot more carefully, so that it's not visible, but it should be, you see how the two attached are like so? And you can make it as big as you want or as small as you want, whatever you like and whatever meets your wardrobe. Okay, so by now we've learned that you can make cool stuff from simple paper clips and extra leather scraps. We've learned how to go from like a plain paper clip to the leather covered one. Then we learn how to connect them in different ways, right? And now I'm gonna show you kind of how I used all those techniques combined to create a top. And this, most likely, it's not finished yet. And the way those tops made from different textures are created is I start, for example, for this one, I needed this neckline first. I had no idea what I was gonna do next. I wasn't even sure if I was gonna use paper clips, but I think it worked for me with black and gray and metal. And then I used the chain that I also sewed on top of it. Then I started thinking, okay, I need something cooler. And I just kept building up and building up until I got the result that I wanted. And this is something that I would advise all of you to go experiment. Those knitted parts were knitted first, then the chain were attached to them, and then those things in the middle. But I'm sure you can find your own way of combining all this stuff to make something unique for yourself. And let me show you the back. The back is very open. Ta-da! Isn't that cool? It's something, I think it's very unique-ish. You can wear it by itself. You can wear it with a bandana or something underneath. So make it something you've never seen before. I hope you guys enjoy. Keep experimenting. Once you create, and like I said, once you create a few of those, you will be able to come up with new ways, new ideas, and send me those ideas to the email. And until next time, goodbye.